Hi everyone and welcome to module number 3. Today you will be introduced to a new word, a new concept, the word dichotomy. I will use a PowerPoint presentation, so let's start. We will see together how European Western thinking is structured through dichotomies. In fact, many of our cultural assumptions rest in dichotomous thinking. As we shall see, these dichotomies organize culture, including its norms and values. Dichotomies are based on the idea of being opposed to each other and exclusive. And as we will understand, these oppositions produce gender stereotypes, gender inequality, gender discrimination, and obviously contribute to gender-based violence and violence against women. We will identify 5 dichotomies that have a very important impact on gender inequality, discrimination, sexism, and gender violence and violence against women. These dichotomies will be discussed in the following module, especially through art. In fact, it will be very useful to use the platform of Regenerate that I showed you in the module 1. These two study, read, understand, and demonstrate the history, meaning, and persistence of the dichotomous gender thinking, which produces and reproduces and normalizes different types of gender stereotypes leading to sexism and gender violence. That means that at the end of this module, you will be able to answer these following questions. How do dichotomies shape and give structure to Western way of thinking and meaning making? How are dichotomies relational and how do they create meaning by being supposedly opposite to each other? How might gendered dichotomies be reinforced by the everyday language in your school? At the end of the module, it will be possible to do some exercises that you will find in several links like this on Regenerate platform. But what does dichotomy mean? The word dichotomy comes from the Greek, and it means division into 2 parts. In other words, it refers to a practice of division and separation, of cutting things into 2 separate parts that are represented as opposites to each other and exclusively different. We look at them as rigid, static, and inflexible as they are in opposition to each other, leaving not much space for alternative and more complex configurations of meaning making. Another important issue with dichotomous thinking is that theoretically it concerns the construction of meaning through difference. Something is white because it's not black. Something is good because it's not bad. Something is full because it's not empty. But that empirically they have come to work in a hierarchical way when it comes to the 2 elements in a binary configuration. One is almost always valued as higher than another and has a higher cultural symbolic status than the other element. Think of the binary oppositions of man versus woman, white versus black, west versus east, young versus old, secular versus religious. In a patriarchal and Eurocentric society, the first binary elements, man, white, west, young, secular, hold a higher cultural and symbolic value. When it comes to thinking about sexual difference and gender, the main binary division that organizes our socially constructed ideas are masculinity and femininity. These 2 are constructed as opposites and as mutually exclusive, set in a hierarchical relation to each other, valuing masculinity over femininity. Under the binary classification of masculinity and femininity, multiple other and oftentimes arbitrary divisions relating to gender attributes and behavior become attached. This creates gender dichotomies. In other words, the opposite parts of each dichotomy become associated with either masculine or feminine. For example, qualities such as sensitivity, caring, passivity, and humility are often considered as feminine and such are markers of good and proper female behavior. Qualities such as bravery, courage, leadership, and assertiveness, on the other hand, are often considered as masculine qualities and as such are markers of good and proper male behavior. Being petite in one's physical stature is often considered as a feminine feature, whereas being muscular is seen as masculine and strong. Such gendered attributes and stereotypes are then used as a reasoning to create very significant social divisions, such as claiming that women are naturally better suited to the private domestic realm of the home and the caring of children rather than the public realm of the polis, the Greek word for city, where serious politics is being made. This kind of thinking is behind the production and social construction of the gendered dichotomy public-private that we will see together in Module 4, according to which women are naturally suited for the private domestic realm of the home, whilst men are naturally better suited for the public life and decision-making. Or the culture-nature dichotomy that we will see in Module 8, which assigns women in the category nature, as they can get pregnant and give birth, thus simultaneously excluding them from culture, whilst men, on the other hand, are assigned in the category culture and hence become separate from nature, which in turn now becomes something that men can observe, control, and even possess. But what are the consequences when these socially constructed divisions become challenged? For example, if a woman asserts herself in a situation to express her needs, it can be perceived as threatening for the status quo and disrupt the socially constructed division of what is considered as proper feminine behavior. As such, gendered dichotomies have a function in maintaining social order. In fact, they are a powerful technology of cultural and social organization. However, when cultural and social order are built on gendered divisions, gendered dichotomies, it creates very particular patterns of social power, of inclusion and exclusion that are harmful to all. Sometimes the terms dichotomy and binary are used interchangeably. Whereas the term dichotomy refers to division into two parts or categories, the term binary refers to the state of being in one of these categories. A gender binary refers to the categorization of gender into one of the socially constructed, distinct and opposite forms of masculinity and femininity, as the understanding of physical attributes and social behavior that mark a person's location within a particular gender binary are often socially constructed. They also vary from historical moment, geographical location, and cultural circumstance. Summing up then, a dichotomy refers to the division into two parts that are jointly and mutually exclusive. Gendered dichotomies assert gender into rigid and inflexible categories. Dichotomies always work relationally and always install a hierarchy. The main binary division that organizes our socially constructed ideas about sex and gender are masculinity and femininity. Challenging dichotomies that produce gender stereotypes disrupts gendered social construction of power, inclusion, and exclusion. Gender binaries are socially constructed and can vary from culture to culture. And again, I invite you to do some exercises that you can find at this link of Regenerate platform. That's all for today, and see you for module 4. Bye.